It's one of them days. The real cost of relationships. Um, I was talking this over with actually my wife, and I was saying, I'm gonna make a live or whatever based on the actual cost of relationships, because a lot of people talk about relationship this, relationship that, but we don't really get down to the nitty gritty of it a lot of times. So this is what I'm gonna do. It's a different cost of relationships when you single, when you together in a relationship, and when you're married, it's different costs. So when you're single, men pay a different cost, women pay a different cost. And what I mean is, if you're attractive, there's one price. If you're unattractive, there's another price. If you're overweight, there's another price. You get what I'm saying? It's different. So let's just say when you single, um, if you single and you ugly, as a woman, if you ugly, but you got a good body, people will still take you out to smash. If you ugly and you don't have a good body, you're probably gonna be lonely for the most part. And what happens is either one or two things. Either you're gonna work and make money, and you're gonna be one of those people who paying for a dude, you know, because you're gonna have money as you get older. Because you're not, because nobody's spending on you, and you're not, and no matter what you spend on yourself, it's not giving you the not the interest, but the return on investment that you spending. So you slow that down. If you're a guy and you're ugly, you know, you're gonna pay more. You're gonna pay more. That's what's gonna happen. That's the cost of relationships. You're gonna pay more. Some of y'all, same thing if you're overweight, right? If you're a guy and you're overweight, you're gonna pay more. If you're a woman and you're overweight, it's gonna cost you more. The difference between like an ugly person and an overweight person, if they're single, is you're gonna assume that the ugly person doesn't spend as much on food as the fat person. So the ugly person should have more money at the end of the day than the than the uh, than the fat person, whether it be a man or a woman. So that's one thing. And then when you single and you're attractive, right? If you're single and you're attractive, if you're an attractive woman, you getting a lot of freebies, and you get a lot of dates, a lot of let me take you out, a lot of gifts, a lot of I bought you this, blah blah blah. Because you're attractive. And a lot of times, what happens is you become bad with money. You're just a horrible person with money because your looks been getting you by. So so it's always somebody else's dime. You're living under the assumption somebody else gonna pay for it. So if you're attractive, the older you get and you get accustomed to freebies, you wind up broke. That's why you see these, women on social media who are grown. I'm gonna just say that they grown, you know, and they're still like soft core porn advertising themselves because they still trying to, get somebody to give them some free stuff. And then on the flip side, if you got the guys who are attractive, they save money because they don't have to pay as much for dates. They don't have to pay for dates sometimes. Sometimes people take them out or want to be seen with them. But the problem with guys that are looked at as attractive is, can they get the sex? Yeah. Can they get the women to like them? Absolutely. But they lazy too. In a general sense, they lazy. So what happens is that's when you wind up with the older guys on social media, or the guy got older and he got fat, or he just became unattractive over time, and he over there trying to lick his lips and look into the camera and talk smooth like, yeah, baby, I get him, I still get him. It's like, yeah, this fool didn't do nothing with his life but think he was fine. So now you wind up in a situation where you know, he's dumb and he's old and he basically he can't do OnlyFans like that because he a guy. You know what I'm saying? No real skills in life. And that's what that's the cost of it. Now the irony of it is, can people change their circumstances? Yeah. Because people who are ugly, contrary to popular beliefs, some people could become attractive over time. Like some people were ugly when they were younger and they became more attractive over time. You know what I'm saying? Fat people lost weight. Some of y'all spending too much money with all this plastic surgery and lipo and all that other stuff. You could just work out. But and on the flip side, the relationship can change if you're attractive because you go from attractive to unattractive, and then you know you don't know how to deal with life. You can always talk about used to was a rooster from Brewster. As our truth would say, right? So now you have this situation. That's what it costs. That's the cost of that. Then let's just say people in relationships, not necessarily not married. So now you have people in relationships. Now, what's the cost of relationships? Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather and tired, but I saw a thing that was like men, on an average, if they're in a relationship, pay $15,000 a year on a relationship. Women, on average, if they're in a relationship, pay 1,300. So if a man's in a relationship with a woman, he's probably spending 15 times more money. Let's just say 10 times more money than she is. Let's just do it like that. He's spending 10 times more money on a relationship than she is. And that same thing applies a lot of times. So then you get people that like to be in relationships because if you're dating, financially it's an up and down thing. Like you might meet somebody with money, you might meet somebody without money. You get what I'm saying? But if you're in a relationship, you constantly know what this person's bringing in. So you have people who constantly are asking for something. That's where you get all this begging from, where you get this idea, well, how much money you make, where your job at, how much you make a year, because it's usually for somebody who broke and big and they want somebody else's money, because they ain't taking care of themselves like on the level of what they want somebody else to take care of them. So that's the thing. So for me, if you ugly, be with somebody ugly. It's cheaper. If you fat, be with somebody fat. Because how can I say this? It might be cheaper to be with somebody fat, but when y'all go out to eat together, y'all not gonna disgust each other. Because a lot of times when people have money, that's a thing. When you're overweight, that's how a lot of y'all relationships end, because people see y'all eating and the way y'all eating and be like, I just can't be around this motherfucker. This is bad. Which is the cost of relationships. And then you got somebody who's attractive, like in a relationship, and going back to the single thing, which you wind up in a situation with a person who's like, they're entitled because, and you get that with some people like, I'm fine, so you should spend on me. And that's why you see a lot of attractive people single. They was in a relationship and they got dumped. And they always have this thing where, people, they act like people owe them for their time or breathing the same air as them. So when you're in a relationship with a person, it's costly, and not, and I'm a expound on a bunch of different stuff, but I'm just getting the basics out the way, right? Now, marriage is a different cost, because if you're married, is one person working or both people working? You get what I'm saying? If one person's working, then then the financial responsibility is on one person. And normally the person that's working is the person that's making the most money, is the person that got the most to lose if the marriage doesn't work. So this person has to be ahead financially, in a sense where they got a plan for the present and the future. You get what I'm saying? Now, if it's two people in a household, the question you got to ask is, are they two people together as a team, or is it one person that's a team player and another person that's selfish? Because that's how a lot of y'all don't realize that, when they say marriage ends because of sex and finances, a lot of the times the cost of it is you have one person who's financially selfish and one person that's financially a team player. You get what I'm saying? And then you can have couples that work and they work as a team, which usually you know, that works out well because there's a lot of respect for each other's responsibility. But that's the cost of it. So, and when I say cost, what I mean is if you got one person working and another person living off that person, living off of two people living off of one income, the person at home normally spends more money. And the reason they spend more money is because they got less to do. I know people play the game of what if you got kids? If you got kids and you taking care of kids, you know, everything goes to the kids per se. Not everything. My bad. I had a phone call, but so then it goes to the kids. But as the kids get older, you being at home now is just, I went here, I went there, I'm bored, I'm in the house, I gotta get out the house, I gotta do something, and you wind up just shopping unnecessarily. And when you got two people and one's a team player and the other selfish, what winds up happening is the team player is taking care of all the bills. The selfish person is taking care of all what they want. Like sometimes that's where you get the people who uh, um, one person is broke and another person got a lot of money, and it's like, wait a minute, man. So this person is doing everything for both of y'all, and you doing everything for yourself. And it's like, oh, okay. And what happens is that's when you get these people when they break up, they go, um, how can I say this? You People leave with way more than they put in. And then when you have like a team player, usually people don't even go their separate ways because it's like you taking care of this, I'm taking care of this, we both winning. It's a win-win situation. So now let's get to some of the nuances of this. Here we go. Now you got the people that got kids, whether they be single, in a relationship, um, or married, right? Now, if you a guy and you got kids, now you got if you single, part of your money normally is going to child support. If you single, and even if you're in a relationship, part of your money is going to child support. So now you're giving out money bi-weekly, monthly, to somebody else. And on the flip side, if you're a mother, normally you're receiving child support, and so you're getting extra income every month. So men look at it different. Like if I'm dating, like if a man got kids and he's paying child support, whatever he got money to date with and be in a relationship with, that's already, the child support's already gone, right? So this is what I'm living off of. The moms usually is a situation where, and this is where y'all mess up. Y'all are receiving child support, and you single, or you single, which is dating, or you're in relationships, and the person that you're in a relationship sees you receiving money and if you're not taking care of your child and they spending money on you, I guarantee you that relationship ain't gonna last. I guarantee you. I can guarantee it. Same thing if you wind up married, because if a person, you get married and you see this person, let's just say the father has a kid somewhere, and the father's paying child support for the kid, and the mother has a kid, and the mother's receiving child support, and they married. they don't have, they may have a kid together, but the other kids are separate. So it's like, oh, so your kid ain't got nothing to show for it, and I'm supposed to take care of your kid and our kid and you receiving money. So what are you doing? So it becomes an issue of respect. Like, oh, okay, you just selfish, you disrespectful. So you start losing respect for people like that, and then the relationships go downhill. That's how much it costs. That's what the cost does to you. And then you see the flip side of it when say child support is over and child support ends. Then you see people, you've seen it plenty of times. Guys like, oh, I got more. Now I got money to go do some things for myself. I'm saving money. I'm bringing in more money now. I can do the things that I wanted to do for myself that I couldn't do. Cool. Now you got a person who can invest more in themselves if they single in a relationship. And on the flip side, a lot of times when it ends, the mothers, now they're looking for another relationship when the child support ends to subsidize the money that they were getting. So now I'm looking, that's where you get people looking for a man. Your baby 18, 16, 17, 18. Like, you're looking for a man really because when the child support stops, I need somebody to, basically stand in the gap financially. And when people figure that out, it ends bad. And same rules apply. You know, you got people who was attractive, who like their entitlement kicks in, like I should be able to get my way. Then you got people who are unattractive, who they're not accustomed to getting their way per se. But, you know, and I'm gonna say this, I've seen unattractive mothers, good, body fine, face not so much. That's what I mean by unattractive. Body fine, face not so much. I've seen more unattractive mothers actually do right by their kids than I've seen attractive mothers do right by their kids. And it's the same thing with the fathers. I've seen unattractive fathers do more right by their kids than I've seen attractive fathers. Or, because when people really think they fine, they so self-centered. So that's a whole other thing. Now, when it comes to the overweight kids and overweight parents, that's a whole other story. I've seen, for the most part, parents who are overweight, whether they be single in a relationship or married, they basically drag their kids down at an early age. And that gets in the way of the relationships, because if you get in a relationship with them, you're basically seeing a kid turn into a walking heart attack, and you just sitting there kicking it and doing nothing about it, and it don't leave you in a good place. So that's a whole nother thing. So now, that's the kid part. Now we got to do the gender role thing. Men are supposed to be providers, women are supposed to be nurturers. And what you wind up with now in the situations, if you are in a role to be a provider, you're expecting to provide for somebody who's going to nurture stuff. And what winds up happening is, more times than not, you got people who are, you know, we was talking about this today at the gym actually, and I hate to say it this way, but single women work harder to be in relationship to get men to pay their bills than women in relationships who have a man to pay their bills. They have a tendency to get lazy. In the same sense of a man who becomes a provider. What up, G? A man who's a provider, they'll say he starts, if he was attractive, he starts becoming unattractive because he ain't got to impress nobody. So now he gets fatter. He gets out of shape. He gets lazier. He gets less romantic. He like, you already here, blah blah blah. I got you. I'm not doing nothing. Type of situation. And ultimately, the amount of money you make adds to that. Like if I make enough money to be retired, you know, the situation 9 times out of 10, if you're in a relationship, only gets worse. Because if you've earned your retirement, somebody else who's gonna be attached to you is gonna feel like since you retired, I should be retired because I'm with you. And if you say no, oh, you might want to be me too. So what's up? So so when I say cost, this is the cost. Now, why people aren't in relationships as much is because inflation, of course. Like, is it better to be single in a relationship or married in this time day and age with this inflation? Because that's why I was going other places where I said I would. If you're single, 9 times out of 10, uh, you're paying the highest rate for like apartments. If you have an apartment, because a 1 bedroom, is crazy, right? A 1 bedroom apartment is basically a mortgage is less than a 1 bedroom apartment at this particular point. It's been like that for some years. If you're in a relationship, say roommate type situation, like you could have a 2 bedroom or whatever, and or you in a relationship and y'all both share 1 bedroom. If you did the 50-50 thing, y'all both be actually winning. If you got a 2 bedroom and you split it, you both actually probably be winning because you'll still be paying in a general sense less than you would for a 1 bedroom if you split the bills. If you married, if both of y'all if one of y'all being a breadwinner or both of y'all working, you should be winning. See, the person that should be the brokest in this scenario should be the single person. Because and I also think it's a time thing. And this is the sad thing. They always say two heads are better than one, right? If you if you single, that means all the bills are on you, all the cooking and the cleaning is on you. Now this is where it gets ugly though. If you're in a relationship or you're married, you might be in a situation where, when they say don't be unequally yoked, you can be in a situation where it's good, where, you know, somebody does the cooking, somebody does the cleaning, somebody does the bill pay, somebody, people are, everything is a smooth transaction. Everything is a smooth transaction. So y'all got the financial part right, y'all got the house part right, got the atmosphere part right, and you're good. But then there's a flip side. Sometimes these relationships cost more than they should because you get with people who decide, since I'm in a relationship now, they're lazy. They don't cook. They don't clean. They don't clean up after themselves. They don't, you know what I'm saying? They're just always a drain on another person. You get what I'm saying? So if you wind up in that situation, you would love to just be single again because it's like, dang, like, not only I'm spending more money. I'm with this person. I'm spending money. Now I got to spend more money for food because they eat, but they don't buy food. Not so they're inconsiderate. You get what I'm saying? They're not cleaning up, so it makes the situation worse because the dirtier the house, the dirtier the house or apartment, the more you got to pay to clean it, and the more time you got to speak to clean it. And then at the same time, if you with a person and they not cleaning it, and you can see it deteriorating, it's gonna get that relationship gonna die because just out of resentment, just flat out of resentment. Because now you like I'm dealing with a buster over here. Like you sorry. So that becomes an issue. Just like when you get with people, and you see that when people break up, like usually when the cost of it is, and I hate to say it is, when you got a good person with a bad person, and this goes from a relationship to even married, the good person usually gets screwed. They fall down, they fall back, they take the losses, and the bad person, because of them being selfish, they moved on, right? But they've got, you know, since they weren't cleaning up and they weren't cooking. They were just pocketing money. They were just pocketing money. You and when they get on they when they go their separate ways, it looks like a quote unquote glow up, whether it's a guy or a girl. It looks like a glow up, and like, oh, I'm winning. Look at me now. But see, they can't maintain their own lifestyle. That's why they need to be in relationships because they sorry people, and the other person, the good person, took the hit, and they slowly build themselves back up, and then they surpass the sorry person that they was with. And the sorry person looks good in the beginning, and they call them a front runner in like fighting and racing. You came out you came out fast, but you about to die out because you can't maintain this stuff. So that's what a lot of people, in a general sense, that's why a lot of people don't like relationships because they've gotten with sorry people and they pay and the cost was so high because the sorrier the person that you're dealing with, the more it's gonna cost you financially. And I'm just saying financially, but people that say mentally too, whatever. What's up, Wolf? You know, people that say it mentally too, but financially it's a problem. And then and I say that because um, when you single, you just like, hey man, if I'm single, I'm responsible for all my stuff. If I'm in a relationship, we kind of sharing responsibilities. If I'm married, it's a definite. You're supposed to share your responsibilities. Um, the thing about it is you, and it sounds weird, but to maximize the cost of relationships, you got to have two considerate people. Two people considerate of people's money and considerate of people's time. Because if you with a considerate person, they're gonna save you money every day. They're gonna do what it takes to save you money. They're gonna do what it takes to save you time. So if you got two people who, okay, I'm doing this, so you don't have to do this. Then on the flip side, they go, well, I'm gonna do this, so you don't have to do that. So now y'all got more time to really just chill out. If y'all, whether if and or to build if you want to build, or to chill out if you want to chill out. It's up to y'all. Now, and I'm about to go into that aspect of building versus having fun. The cost, when you single, um, if you want to have fun, if you go out, it's all on you. Um, if you go on trips, it's all on you. Now, if you start going like getting in a relationship and people have this thing where you should if you're in a relationship you should split the cost. But sometimes people I'm paying for this trip, I'm taking this that and the third. So a lot of people don't realize like when you're in relationships and going on trips, there's two plane tickets. You know what I'm saying? That's a rental car. The room is the room. The room is always gonna be the room you get when you single in a relationship and married. It's the same, but the two plane tickets, that's gonna be a problem, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because you could spend like so let's just say $750 on you traveling. You add another plane ticket, it could go from 750 to 1200. So, and a lot of people play this game when it comes to travel. Like people who go, I like to travel, I want to travel. A lot of times, people who say they like to travel, they like for other people to pay for their travel. Because nobody has the damn time to be traveling all the time unless you're making money. And people don't realize, oh man, a trip to Mexico, to let's just say Cancun or Los Cabos or the Dominican or Jamaica, it doesn't really matter. Africa, Europe, Ice, I was about to say Iceland, yeah, Iceland, the Dubai and all that other stuff. The older you get, the more relaxed you want to be when you travel, so you up the cost a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all like You might not fly first class in the States. You might not. You might not fly first class on a plane in the United States. But if you flying out abroad, out of the country, you gonna want to get them bigger seats, whether it be business class or first class. You gonna want to get them bigger seats because you don't want to be on an 8 hour flight in that little bitty seat. You're not gonna like that. I'm gonna tell you right now. You get an 8 hour flight plus, you gonna that that seat gonna be a monster, and then you got to get two of them, right? But let me go past that part. Other people, the mindset is different. Like they're like, listen, if I save money, if you can save me money and I can save you money, you can invest and I can invest. You know what I'm saying? If you can invest and I can invest, and that means in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years time, y'all can go wherever y'all want, and it ain't really gonna be a dent. It ain't gonna be a dent. It's not gonna hurt y'all like that because y'all invested first. But you see, a lot of people do this stuff backwards. You don't get with people a lot of times. A lot of people are not trying to help you get a better credit score, or trying to help you invest, or trying to help you make money. A lot of people get in relationships to take money from a person. And that's why people don't quote unquote like relationships nowadays. Because, people feel like the world owes them, so they get in a relationship to get what they feel the world owes them. And I'm saying that men and women, you know what I'm saying? And this becomes an issue. Now, and what I'm about to say, I'm gonna just keep it a buck with y'all. A lot of times people don't know this. A lot of folks don't realize it, but if you do things janky, you're gonna get janky results. But if you do things, on the up and up, and if you're a couple and both of you are on the up and up, even if y'all grow older and go your separate ways, the breakup might not be cool, but would be way more amicable because you both been looking out for each other. You get what I'm saying? It's not gonna be like, oh, F you, F you. It'll be like, oh, it's over, whatever. But we're not cool because it's over. But you're not gonna have a distaste for that person. And a lot of times, because so many people break up nowadays, a lot of times people are really pissed because they feel like they put far more into the relationship than they got out. So they feel like they got done dirty. You get what I'm saying? And the whole and that's what the kid thing is. Now, here's another interesting thing that I think about the cost. I think people have this issue where your family could mess it up. And what I mean is, if you come from a poor family, a middle class family, or upper class family, it changes the way you view relationships. So if you poor, like if you came from a poor upbringing and you got to a middle class or upper class in dating, whether you the person that got yourself to the middle class, upper class, or you dating somebody, you know, and they're the one that were poor, they came from poverty too. Let's just say they came from poverty too. You're gonna have that thing where somebody's gonna spend money just to feel like the stuff makes them feel important. That's where you get these kind of relationships and these people who get in these relationships who need all of this stuff to feel good. I need to have designer clothes. I need to have designer shoes. I need to go to this restaurant and that restaurant. They're really paying to feel important. You know what I'm saying? Because of the poverty. But and that's a phase some people stay in for life, which is just stupid insecurities. But most times you grow out of that stuff. And the reason why you grow out of that stuff, because if you come from poverty, you're gonna be like, listen, um, I'm not finna pay a certain amount of money for something that's not good though. Like, damn, I could have got something better than this in the hood. Like, I'm not finna like, oh, but we're here. It's like, yeah, but it's trash. You know, And now if you're in the middle class and the upper class is a bit different because it's unfortunate to say this. A lot of people who grew up in the middle class and the upper class, their parents grew them up in that lifestyle. So a lot of them can't maintain, the vast majority of them can't maintain the lifestyle that their parents created for them. So now they're looking for somebody else to do it. You get what I'm saying? And that becomes a relationship problem because you wind up in a situation where, you know, and I and I've seen this because you got kids in middle class and upper class who are really go getters. They're really go getters. And they're go getters and they had better knowledge and access to people poorer than them. So they're quicker to get to where they want to go sometimes. But they're surrounded by people who are not necessarily go getters because they've been living off of their parents. So they wind up in a situation where, you know, a person can tell you what they are accustomed to, but they're not telling you they trying to get accustomed to you paying for it. And that's where people have a huge problem because usually when you're younger, you go from being in the middle class to broke or upper class to broke, and your parents are footing the bill, but you can't foot the bill for your lifestyle, and then you meet somebody else from that same bracket, and they're used to spending somebody else's money too. So now y'all both just synonymous with bad habits, and by the time you get grown enough for your people to cut you off because you're grown, you might be in five to six figures in debt, and both of y'all don't know how to get out. You get what I'm saying? Because both of y'all don't know how to live without or live below your means, because you know you think you belong in a certain status. So that's a whole nother thing. Now, interestingly enough, you know that's what I said. Like the true, like the real cost of these relationships. Uh, I'll say this: the older you get, the more you want to be with somebody who's resourceful, who knows how to do stuff. Like people don't understand. So if you get with a woman and she knows bargains and knows deals, you know, she knows what's like she can find the best deal for stuff as a shopper, that's a keeper. If you get with a guy and he can actually fix stuff, that's a keeper. Because you don't realize how much things cost. Now here's the problem, and that's the because those are the people that can save you money. Now sometimes what people get messed up is, and I hate this, but it's true. Let's just say if your woman was a person who made deals, not made deals, found deals. Let's just say that deals and sales and all that. You can go broke because she found so many deals and sales. You get accustomed to deals, and you now, even though you were spending smart, now you're overspending because you got a bunch of sales. And a lot of people don't realize that cost a lot because you don't need everything you bought. That's when you get to them people they got a whole lot of stuff, but they ain't really got nothing because they got accustomed to, well, we could get this and we can get this and we can get this because this is on sale and that's on sale. That's a problem. But on the flip side, let's just say when I say if the guy is a person who's like resourceful and he can fix stuff, you got to watch out for the type of people that's destructive. Like there are women out here that oh, he can fix it. So now they just breaking every dang on thing. So now you got to fix this and you got to fix that, and they just constantly breaking stuff. And it's like, you know what? Now the fixing stuff saves us money, but now you're not saving us money or time because you breaking everything. So I need to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't realize, just because somebody can do something, it doesn't not mean you overdo it. Because every there's pros and cons with everything. Now the other stuff, Um, Now, going back to the beginning, when I said, there's people who are attractive, people who are unattractive, people who are overweight. The older you get, what winds up happening is the best people always rise to the top, but but the best people always wind up separating. So when people are quote unquote looking for good people, the reason why good people are hard to find because when good people are single, they how can I say this? The people that y'all are looking for, you know, should be people who are that you're attracted to. They don't have to be super attractive, but you're attracted to. They're in pretty good health, and they're responsible. But a lot of times, what happens with people is if those people are single, they don't have the time, and they don't have the time. After a while, as you get older, people don't have the time to help somebody get on their feet because they've helped people do it before. And a lot of times, those good people, they help other people get on their feet to their own detriment. So they separate. And then you got people who have been using people financially for forever and a day. Those are the people that are constantly looking for somebody. Those are the people who got these unrealistic expectations and they want all these unrealistic things, whether that's financially or sexually, because these people, they need somebody. That's why you got, that's where as you get older, you're trying to figure out why these people are old, but they really talk like they super freaks. They're not really freaky like that because they got a high sex drive. They freaky like that because they do nasty stuff to get a person hooked on them sexually because they're lazy. You get what I'm saying? That's what that is. Because at a certain age, everybody's freaky, but it comes to a point where people go, okay, that's enough. Like, okay, like, yeah, like when you get to the point where you meet somebody who sex is their way of just being in the house all day, that's because they don't want to do nothing with their life. They want you to do it, you know. If I do this freaky stuff to you for 30 minutes, ooh, you gonna go out in the world and do all this work while I just sit around and do nothing. That's how that goes. Um, but then, you know, that goes with broke people preying on people who got it. And the more you start getting it in the world, the more you gotta separate yourself in these relationships because people that's getting it don't need to be around people that's not trying to get it. Because those people are very expensive. Oh shoot, my bad. So when I say the real cost of relationships, man, a lot of y'all don't realize it, but um, I should say, well, if I'm gonna be raw about it, I'm gonna tell you, the older you get, the more you're gonna realize hardworking people don't have the time to be scammers. And scammers have all the time in the world to look for hardworking people because they ain't got nothing to do. They ain't got nothing to do. So if you a hardworking person, you got to get with another hardworking person, and that times sometimes two hardworking people it kind of sucks because y'all both working hard. You get what I'm saying? So you gotta learn how to come together with somebody who's hardworking too, so y'all can both give each other a break at times. Because you don't want to be with like when people go, well, I work hard. I need to be with somebody that's more chill. You don't want that. You really don't. And you'll know this because even if a hardworking person gets down on their luck, or or is pivoting and trying something different, they're not trying to be, they're not trying to feel like a burden to you. And if you're a hardworking person, you're gonna know, like, the fact that a person is not trying to feel like a burden to you, you're gonna respect that more, and you can be like, man, I got you, like, because I know you. This is not a hustle for you. So a lot of times, it's the same thing when I say people want to feel important, people want to feel fly. Um, People want to like. Don't be around people who watch a lot of TV, but they swear they on their grind. Cause really they're just watching what they want to be, and a lot of the people that they watch on TV are really not hardworking people. Cause a lot of people don't really watch. Like people who are really hardworking ain't got time to be on TV all the time. So that's a whole nother thing. But at the end of the day, um, is what I'm about to say is gonna be terrible. I just realized that. All right, I'm gonna be practical. I say it this way. This how you. The older you get, this how you know what a person is on. Check their towels, by their towels in their house or apartment, by the caliber of towels they got, the caliber of sheets they got, the caliber of toilet paper they got. You get what I'm saying? And it sounds weird. The type of pots and pans that they got, the types of silverware that they got, you know, the type of cleaning material they got. You gonna know what a person's on by that. All the forget the clothes, forget the clothes, forget the upkeep. Because how a person is out in public is not how a person is in private. That's two different things. And the older you get, the more you're gonna realize, man, it costs you a whole lot less to be comfortable at your crib than it is to be seen out in public. And which one you rather be? Like you can go out and come home. You get what I'm saying? But you gotta understand, a lot of people who are outside are looking for somebody who can bring them to their home. So, and some of y'all gonna know what I'm talking about. Like some people, they sheets janky, they pillows janky. They living room furniture janky, or bedroom furniture janky. You know, and that says something. That their level of cleanliness is janky. You don't know how costly it is to be unclean. People who don't brush their teeth, that's a health problem. You get what I'm saying? People who don't clean their house, that's a health problem. People love to eat, but they don't like to keep their stuff clean. That's a problem. That's a problem. Or people that's messy. That's a problem. Because that costs money. It costs time and money to fix. And why I'm saying that is, you got to find people who are willing to put in the work themselves. Because if you get around people who always think the job is to delegate this and delegate that and delegate this, those are the type of people that'll never do anything. Or if a person needs a maid and a babysitter and a chef, and I need this and that goes for men and women. I need somebody to do this and I need somebody to do that. 9 times out of 10, that's because they don't do nothing. And somebody else gonna have to pay for all that. And I say that because sometimes people get so comfortable doing nothing, they start charging you if you with them. Like, you know what? They got so much money, I could get this out of them. You gotta let that shit go. You gotta let it go. And that's why you see sometimes people don't want to be in relationships, because it costs too much. It costs too much because a lot of times a lot of people aren't being with people who are actually making life better for them. They're being with people who make their life a living hell. You know, And that's where it's messed up with a lot of times. And I've been there, been in relationships where girl was working and we got together, she ain't working no more, or oh, oh, or we going on dates, but it's like, where we going next, and where we going next, and where we going next, and it's like, oh, you can't cook. Oh, we got. You think I'm gonna go take you out 4, 5 days a week every week because you can't cook? That's not finna happen. And they get attitude. Well, why we don't ever go nowhere? Cause, nigga, you can't cook. You can't cook. You can't clean. You really think I'm not going? You really think we're gonna go out and go to restaurants and go and I'm gonna buy food and buy drinks and I'm gonna come home drunk, half drunk, and we're gonna have sex and I'm gonna ignore the fact that you ain't cooked or cleaned a doggone house? You're crazy. You, you know, been down that road. People, and I'm gonna tell you, you know what? Let me say it the other way too. Uh, for people, don't be intimidated if somebody makes more money than you, but you got a lot to bring to the table, because that's part of it too. Some people, some of y'all could meet a person that's dope, but they make more money than you, so their lifestyle is higher than yours, and you kind of feel some type of way. You get what I'm saying? You feeling some type of way, like, you know what I'm saying? You mad at their opulence, let's just say it like that. But it ain't opulence. They just make more money. And you'll blow up their relationship and it's dope. And then you wind up with people that you like, why am I here? Because you can't handle being with somebody who got better stuff. That's why. You know, some of y'all need to stop doing that stuff. Um, and let me just give some quick stuff like before I get out of here. One of the things is this, and I brought up being considerate a while ago in this video. If you're not considerate, if you being considerate to a person a person's time and a person's money goes a long way to make a relationship better. You know, y'all don't realize how easy that is. Like, okay, if somebody take you out, be reasonable in what you order. If somebody needs some help, and they be like, because I need some help doing that. If you can do it, do it. I'm like, I can do that. Don't worry about it. You go handle that. I got that, and we good. You know, because at the end of the day, when I talked about inflation and the economy, more people are not going to be able to be single because they won't be able to afford being single. So at some point, you got to learn to actually be uh, a good teammate. Because if you're not a good teammate, it's gonna be a lot of polygamy going on out here, and a lot of y'all think, a lot of y'all think y'all gonna like it, but y'all not. My bad. Y'all think y'all gonna like? Oh, I got this one and that. That's not what's gonna happen. That's why you see all these people begging and getting super sexual on social media. They begging because they could be evicted sooner before later. You see the bad decisions people make. I'm gonna go to a concert, but I need help. Like, how you? First of all, you shouldn't be evicted if you went to a concert. If you got evicted, you 2 months behind. You're not one. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to get my car repoed. I need da da da. If you get your car repoed, you 2, 3 payments behind. It's not one. You get what I'm saying? So you got to take this stuff into consideration, because uh, people are too old to go back to their families, and people ain't allowing for people to come back like that. That's the other thing. But on top of that, if you don't know how to work as a team with another person at this particular juncture, um, you might get crushed. Because being single now, unless you got a certain amount of money, it's not like being single 15 years ago. It's not at all. At all. And I'm not saying be in a relationship just for the financial part, but I'm telling you the real cost is some of y'all you're gonna have to slow down your shopping, you're gonna have to slow down the eating, you're gonna have to actually learn how to take care of stuff for a long period of time. That's the issue. Because I say that to say some of y'all gonna be getting kicked out. Y'all go, and don't nobody like you're not people are not gonna have the opportunities they had to believe I could be with this person and that person that I could do this, men and women. Because guys ain't gonna have the money to go for hop from chick to chick to chick. And women, y'all ain't gonna have the guys who provide it, who gonna keep taking you. I'm trying to get myself together. You 35. You better if it ain't together now, you just gonna be homeless. But I'm gonna leave it at that, man. I got stuff to do. Something I want to talk about later about that I'm gonna really get at. But catch y'all on the next one, man. Like, share, subscribe.